Welcome to the Prosperity Playground, the podcast where business meets energetics, strategy meets soul, and prosperity becomes inevitable. I'm your host, Anna Lozano, mom, founder, investor, mentor, and energetics in business expert. This is your weekly activation to rewire how you think and feel about wealth, success, and personal power, because it's not about working harder, it's about regulating deeper, aligning stronger, and receiving wider. You don't hustle for your future, you calibrate to your higher self. Join me weekly for high-level conversations with the world's most inspiring entrepreneurs, creators, and thought leaders. True prosperity isn't just about money. It's about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth. Welcome to the playground. Let's build your most prosperous life. Welcome back to the Prosperity Playground podcast, where business meets energetics, strategy meets soul, and prosperity becomes inevitable. Today's guest is someone who embodies all of that and more. Jessica Marx, a distinguished 5-time Forbes Business advisor and named top female advisor by Yahoo Finance, stands as an influential force in the realm of business consultancy. Jessica is known as a powerhouse business advisor, boasting nearly 2 decades of executive sales leadership and navigating multi-billion-dollar landscapes. She is the host of Millions Were Made podcast and an investor in several ventures. She is a mom, a twin mom, a wife, a serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, and incredibly passionate about the clients she serves. In this conversation, Jessica and I dive deep into what it really takes to grow and sustain a profitable, freedom-driven business. We talk about the unfiltered truth behind 7- and 8-figure businesses, why profitability matters more than revenue, and how to build both strategy and self-mastery in your business. This is a conversation every founder needs to hear, especially if you're ready to stop surviving your business and start building an empire that gives you wealth, freedom, and choice. Enjoy the show and definitely let us know what resonates on Instagram by tagging @_Anna Lozano, and we will see you on the inside. Jessica Marx, welcome to the Prosperity Playground podcast. This is our first time meeting and we're doing it live. I'm so grateful you're here.
Yes, I love that you reached out to me in the DMs on Instagram, and I still check my own messages and respond to every single person. So I'm excited to be here and have the opportunity to chat today.
Yes, and I gotta say, you are a badass. You're a powerhouse, serial entrepreneur, and you're still in your DMs, and it means the world because it is part of community building these days when everything is, outsourced and AI powered. So it's so refreshing to see this.
Yes. I mean, it's a fun place for me to hang out, I think, because we don't use it as a business generator, a lead source. And so when I'm on there, I can just see what everybody's up to. And I've made some phenomenal connections globally, which is such a neat thing that we have access to now that we didn't have in the past. And so to be able to connect with women like you and my listeners from my podcast, it's been really fun to have all those conversations.
I love that. So as I mentioned, you are a powerhouse serial entrepreneur. You've built one of the top strategic business advisory firms. You're a twin mama, and you've worn many hats along your journey. I would love for us to really start with your career path and some of the big decisions that brought you to here now, because you have the accolades. You're a new voice to our community. So take us through your career and your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yes, it's almost 20 years in the making. So I do firmly believe in that there is no overnight success, and that a lot of what we see on social media can be very discouraging to newer entrepreneurs starting out, or even established entrepreneurs, right? Because what's real and what's not, it's very hard to tell. We, through the firm, have some insider access where we do get to see behind the curtains of some very well-known companies. And I just think it's refreshing that every one of your listeners understand that all throughout business, whether you're at 100,000 or 100 million, there's a lot of hurdles and a lot of different types of unfortunate circumstances that we have to deal with as founders. And so just know that it's a journey, and the journey doesn't end. I'm still on the journey. So long story short is I'm a former healthcare executive for a multi-billion-dollar company. And once I exited that company, I then decided, there was so much happening at that billion-dollar level. And then I would go and talk to small business owners that we were connected with. My husband and I also own a construction company. And I started to realize that so many founders in that 7 and 8 figure sector were just building to survive. And it's almost like they didn't have the access that so many CEOs and executives and investors and founders at that higher level understood about how do you play this game, and that there is strategy on how you reduce owner dependency, how do you build a team, what does the incentive comp strategy look like. And so pretty soon after having my twins, like within 6 months of them being born, I started consulting in the small business sector, and then thought, there's a real opportunity here, because what happens is so many founders don't get a formal valuation until they're ready to exit.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is so much has been done in the company that cannot be undone at that point.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
so we created a proprietary methodology where we come in, 3 to 5 years, sometimes 7 to 8 years before anybody is actually looking to go through that acquisition. And we audit the entire company. We do a 360-degree, no stone is left unturned. We have to have access to everything.
Yeah.
And we really restructure the company for success. And success looks different to everybody. And
Yes.
so how we build out strategy is extremely personalized, not just to the business model, but to the founder.
Yeah. So what are the commonalities if you were to look at this, entire experience you've had with your firm? Is there commonalities that you're seeing across the board that we can bring awareness to right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just to give context, the majority of our clients that come in for an audit are doing between 2 million and 20 million.
Okay.
They've had fast growth. So this isn't 20, 30 years in the making. This is like they started something 4 to 5 years ago and have been able to get to an incredible point, right? Like 7 figures is a phenomenal achievement. The problem is it looks great on social media. It looks great to friends and family, but behind the scenes, they're working 67 hours, 70 hours a week. They don't have clarity of where the business can go next. Their team is understaffed or underqualified. There is nobody else that can run the company besides them. They have high attrition with clients or customers because they just don't have the staff to support, or they don't have the systems and processes in place to deliver a really great result. And so where we come in is a lot of times founders are coming to us and they're saying, I'm exhausted, I'm burning out, I'm working nonstop, I maybe pay myself 100 grand, 200 grand a year, and I just don't see, because I'm so immersed into it, how could we even restructure this to where I am one of those founders that has that time, capacity, and space to scale and be the visionary. And so we always start with the offer suite. And out of 100% of the companies we've audited, we audit 2 to 3 a month, the offer suite always has to be refigured. It
Oh,
needs
fascinating.
There's not one company that I've looked at and said, your offers are amazing, your price point is spot on, the profitability on accounts is there, your ascension model is phenomenal. Never the case. We are coming in and they are not priced correctly for the markets. Their offers are stale, or their offers were something that sold really great post-COVID 2022,
Yes.
2023. Their profitability gaps are massive. They have some offers that are making 11%, some that are making 38%. It's eating at the company's overall profitability. The staffing required for those offers is either lacking, or They don't have the proper staff, the infrastructure of the offers themselves, the ascension models, the lifetime value. It's churn and burn. They have people coming in, going through one or two price points, and then they're leaving. And so we always structure the offer suite for optimal success, but high profitability, and then increasing the lifetime value. So offer suite is a huge area. Owner dependency. So our founders are coming to us, and if they were unable to work for the next 60 days, the business could not sustain without them. There is no executive leadership in place. So really solidifying the CEO and founder's role. And then number three would be probably a toss up between systems and processes and lack thereof and the infrastructure of the team. We see in organizational structure, people are not qualified for the roles that they're in. They have inflated titles. Their compensation doesn't match markets. We have a VA doing the financials. I mean, there's just so many different layers that are causing the company to cap their growth.
And do you think so? One is strategy. What about the mindset of the founders? Because obviously, as founder, there's this, hold on tight and grip because no one can do it better than I can mindset at certain stage of the business. What other mindset are you seeing that the founders are coming in with? Like what fears are showing up? Is it a control thing? Is it, we haven't done enough personal growth when it comes to ourselves? Like, is there a commonality with that?
Yes. So I think this is important for your listeners to hear is if you are a newer entrepreneur or you are in the six-figure space, that is the first place you should invest is in your personal development and growth as an entrepreneur. Because if you've never been in business, if you've never led a team, if you've never managed financials to this level or this scale, that has to be worked on first. So for example, we will not take a client, and part of our process is that you could fill out an application. You could tell me your revenue's 6 million, 7 million. But if I get on a discovery call with you and we are circling the drain and you are blaming everyone on your team and you are blaming the market and a recession and politics and it's everyone else's problem, we will not take you as a client because you're not going to have success. But when we have somebody that shows up to a call and says, I'm at 1.5 million. I know that's a little bit lower on your revenue, but I am hungry. I am driven. I have a team. I know I could leverage them better. I need to get myself out of the weeds because I really belong in that strategic seat. I am the visionary. I want to be the creative. I want to get to 10 million. I know right then and there's somebody that's already made that investment and they're going to be really successful because we move quickly.
Yes, they have that growth mindset. It's both. It's not an and conversation. It's like this is the foundation. Come in, start doing that growth mindset, personal development work. And then of course we have the energetics and nervous system and all those conversations, which I want to dive into a little bit. But I love that you brought that up. And in terms of profitability, I was listening to your interview with Jasmine Star, and you specifically say that if you're not at 20% profit, why are you even running a business? I think that's also another huge point of awareness here. So tell us more about that.
Yes. So I think too, to back up a little bit to the journey that got me here is that I have seen what personal wealth has done for my life, and not necessarily in just ways of the fancy cars and vacations and all of that. That's great. Yes. But I've been able to invest in other areas and I have the freedom to choose now in my life. And I want more, and wealth is a huge factor in that. And I want to get more wealth in the hands of women. And the fastest way to do that is through entrepreneurship. When you climb the corporate ladder, you are at the mercy of the 1%, 3% flat, increase of pay every year. You are at the mercy of somebody else making those decisions and budget cuts and all of that. When you are sitting in the seat and you are truly the driver of your business, the wealth is uncapped. The problem is most people build their businesses to just barely get by.
Yeah.
And they don't understand how to turn this current pain point in their life and stressor and overwhelm into this incredible asset that gives them the freedom of choice in who they work with, choice in who they hire, choice in how much they want to work, where they want to work. I mean, there's so many different things. And so that for me is really important is we want to get our founders to that place. Profitability within your business is then what drives your personal wealth. You can have 10 million in revenue and 100,000 in profit. You can have a million in revenue and 100,000 in profit. And so revenue just isn't the factor that I go off of for success. I want to know how profitable is the company and how much are you personally making? Because this is a lot of work, time, and personal investment to be dedicating to not be reaping the rewards financially.
Yes, like amen. And it's so hard, right? We start it's so easy to chat about, and then when you're in the weeds, when you're in the grind. I built a product-based company for 6 years and we exited that in 2022, but at the beginning stages, you have the mission, you have the vision, and then you get into the business and you're wearing all these hats until the point that you can outsource and have systems and structures in place. You're doing absolutely everything. And then you realize it's all consuming. You are breathing, living, cringing, celebrating all of it every single day, and then add in motherhood, and then add in, community and relationships and just having a life. And so it's interesting. I would say majority of founders, especially in the early years, they get all consumed by the business, and then they lose the passion, they lose the vision, they lose the drive, and they're in the weeds. And so I think this is such an important conversation. And I wanted you to come on for this very reason, because you get to choose and you get to do it differently. I think the fears are, I'm not ready to outsource. I'm not ready to pay myself, because if I pay myself, what this could be going towards marketing budget, or it could be going towards something else, but yet it's so important. And so is there, what would you say needs to support the decision in the founder needs to pay themselves? And just another note here, I spoke to Lori Harder, and she said, as an investor, she said that investors looking at Glossy will not invest if founder is not paying themselves.
Yeah, so to reframe is that the business is making me money personally, allow me to do more in business. And here's what I mean by that is it is expensive to have my household taken care of so that I'm not having to do both, right? So if I'm spread so thin that I'm then having to take on all of the household chores and I don't have support at home and I'm having to do all of the laundry and all the things that just eat away as us as a mom and a wife, that's hours away from the company. Now, if I decide, here's what's really important to me. I want to be at school drop off. I want to be at school pickup every day. I don't work in the office ever on a Friday. I volunteer at my kids' school. Like, those are my non-negotiables. I make dinner every night because I want to. Now, do I have clients that have help that makes their dinner every night because they're like, I hate cooking, I don't want to do that? Yes. But do I have other areas of help? Yeah, I haven't been to a grocery store and I can't tell you how long. I Instacart everything.
Yes.
I have a housekeeper. I have somebody that does the laundry because I don't love doing that. And I would rather pick my kids up from school and have that done and be able to work during the day, make as much money as possible, and then enjoy my time with my kids in the afternoon and on the weekends. What happens is if I wasn't paying myself, I wouldn't be able to afford any of that.
Yeah.
So then I would be burnt out. I would be probably 87 loads of laundry behind. I'd probably be screaming at my husband because I'm, so overwhelmed and exhausted. My kids would take the brunt of it. And so it is so important that our businesses generate money. And if you ask all of, the 7 and 8 figure earners, some of our best spent money is on the infrastructure that helps us within our homes, or our infrastructure that allows us to maybe fly somewhere quicker because we can book a different type of flight, or that we're managing things that are always, how can I maximize my time with my family but also with the business and what it needs. And if you're not paying yourself, then you're not able to invest in those areas personally that we can invest in to take some of the weight off of our plates, because you can't do everything.
You can't do it all. Absolutely.
Oh, go
So,
ahead.
growth strategy, we're going to switch gears just a little bit because you're recently talking about right now, early Q4, planning for next year, not having a reactive strategy where you're planning, next year in December. So, I'd love to dive into this. Does it apply to all types of businesses in all different industries? Why are you mapping out next year, early Q4, September? We're now in October, but we have to do it now.
Yes. And we just released a two-part series on my podcast Millions Were Made because I do want more founders realizing the importance of operating from a proactive state. You brought up nervous system, and nervous system is one of the biggest growth blockers for entrepreneurs because they're constantly in this frenzy. They're constantly in
Yeah.
this reactive state. They're figuring out on a Tuesday what they're going to post or sell on Thursday. And our bodies and our minds feel that.
Yep.
And then what we produce is a result of that, right? It
And it's
feels
felt.
scrambled.
Yep.
Yeah, it's messy.
Yep.
Clients feel it, leads feel it. We're all, I'm sure, can raise our hand and say we followed somebody on social media where they're just constantly throwing spaghetti at the wall, or every other day they're talking about a different topic that you're like, what does this person actually even sell? Or one day they're high ticket, the next day they're low ticket. And so we really drive home that founders should be working 6 to 9 months in advance. We're living in a time that is very fast paced. But if we understand our markets, if we understand our consumers, and we know the results that we get them, we're able to get in front of that and say, okay, we know if we're in the health and wellness space, December is when people are going to start feeling a little bit guilty. They're eating all the holiday cookies, everything's that, but they're not going to invest until January. Like they just want to go, full blown until that December 31st. But why wouldn't we start nurturing them in November, December, saying it's okay, enjoy the holidays, but when you're ready, come join us January 1st. We're going to have a 10-day challenge or whatever it is. And all of those assets, all of those programs, all of the marketing, all of the metrics are built out in October or November so that when January rolls around, that's feeding infrastructure into the company. It's feeding revenue so that you're realizing, okay, what can we invest that's going to help our April launch be really successful? And what does April look like? What do they need from us in June and July? And so you're always planning 10 steps ahead. And when you have that space to be able to plan, you would be amazed at the ideation that happens and the creativity that you can come up with to be innovative and to
Yes.
outbeat your competitors who are operating from a place of scarcity, panic, and reactiveness.
Yes, and exactly that. It's when you are creating from that energetic space. We talk about frequency on this show. It's everything is energy, frequency, vibration. Like you can feel it, and your customer can feel it. And so you are, by pre-planning, you are in that leadership space that is taking you into that longevity that you desire, and you get to be creative. I think that's the biggest piece you mentioned, is like you get to then create and be in your zone of genius, rather than reacting to what everyone else around you is doing, and being in that comparisonitis that we know doesn't serve anyone. We're going to link your 2026 business planner in the show notes. That looks fab. How can that support the founders listening?
Yeah, so I think, there's so many different options out there, like digital downloads.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand, most small business owners. And when I say most, I mean we have $12 million clients that come to us. And when we go through the data process to get all of their analytics and information, they don't know where it's housed. It's not up to date. And it's not accurate. We get we're like, there's no way this is accurate. And like, this is what my accountant gave me. And I'm like, your accountant's wrong. Like, this is not accurate information. We can't make a decision off of this. And so we wanted to do a business planner that you can't future focus and plan if you don't truly understand where you're at and what just happened for 2025. Because what you'll end up doing is you'll relive 2025 in 2026.
Yes.
And so part of our business planner is challenging clients to look at all of the data, all of the information, and all of the emotional side to 2025. We prompt you with CEO questions that really cause you to pause and think. And then once you recap 2025, we then say, okay, now that you've actually had to stare that information in the face, as much as you may not like that
Yeah.
information, the truth, what do we need to do differently in 26? And then we're walking you through all of those scenarios. And then we bundled it where I actually recorded a training to go with it because I think it's really impactful for founders to hear somebody walk them through how to use this data and where to even find that data and then what it's telling you in order to leverage it and then be able to be really effective in pre-planning now for Q1. And then what we do is at the back end of the planner, it's like, okay, now what is the focus for Q4? Do you need to hire additional team? Do you need to reposition your marketing? Do you need to look at your offer suite? We challenge you to restructure offer suite. We talk about pricing strategy in there and how to come up with pricing so that you're not waiting until January 1st to make these changes within your company.
Yes, so good. And so that's a digital download. I feel like you need to create it into an actual product. It's so supportive. You're like
Yes, and I'll be
exhaling.
honest with you, our lowest investment is 30,000. And so we never do a 20, we never do low ticket ever. And this is the planner that we give our private clients. And so my team was like, I really just think that we have so many listeners on Millions Are Made that are in that six-figure sector or not even at six figures, and they want to be able to do this too. Like, what can we give them, and how can you walk them through it that's going to make sense from a business perspective? So they twisted my arm, and I did it, and we launched it yesterday, and we've seen incredible sales from it, which is great. But in my mind, I'm looking at the volume of sales, and I'm thinking, this is more business owners that are going to be well equipped to really make a difference for next year.
Yes, like you can feel your passion in supporting founders to create that wealth, like really zoomed out vision. Like you're creating this for the mission, for the vision, but also for freedom, as you mentioned. Like you have a very powerful tone, but I can feel the heart. It's like, get your asses together, put things in place, pay yourself so that you can live the freedom that you initially started this business for. So it's like, if you're getting anything out of this conversation at the basis, at foundationally, just get your shit together. That's what I
Yes, and I always say it with a lot of love, but I'm
love.
definitely, I think for the last 5 years, the personal development and business development space, it's unfortunate, but it had a lot of people that came in that were not giving good advice or that took more of a therapeutic approach of, you want to hit 5 million? Tell me how you think you're going to get to 5 million, or
Yes.
what do you want to do to get to 5 million? We're very opposite of a business model than that. The clients that are coming to us are like, if I knew how to get to 5 million, I'd be
I
at 5
would.
million. So I just need you to tell me really honestly, like, what am I doing that has me capped at 2.5? Or what do I need to do to where I'm not working 60 hours a week? So all of my private clients that work directly with me have gone through our audit at some point, and then they've been private clients of mine for 3 to 5 years. I sit as their board of directors. They're all working 50 to 20 hours a week, which is great for me because I only want to work 15 to 20 hours a week. So if I had clients that were at 60 hours and we never scaled them down to that, I would have 10 clients working 60 hours a week all over the place, and it would be a logistical nightmare for myself. And so we do have, and I am equally as invested because I want them at every single child's activity that they have. I want them building their kids' personal wealth, legacy wealth. I want them to be able to, do things for their families, or, when somebody gets ill, that they're able to step away from the company and take that time. And to me, it's just invaluable. But unfortunately, you have to have cash to be able to make those decisions.
Yeah. Yep. This is real talk, and it's the truth, and I feel that you bring that to the table, and then you show your clients a pathway to get there. So I feel like everyone also needs to tune into your podcast because it is very strategic, but you as the founder, like the heart is truly felt. So you're also an investor. What are you specifically looking for when investing in companies? And are there specific industries you're looking at, different industries? Take us a little bit through that.
Yes. So I won't invest capital without also negotiating sweat equity because I know I can get a company to grow much faster, not just by throwing cash at it, but also throwing strategy. So I am a strategic investor where I will come in and it has to be two-sided, right?
Yeah.
And I have to do a full due diligence of my own audit on a company before. And I'm not an early investor. Like I want proof of concept. Not because I think the business model is not sustainable. At this point, very few business models are new to market. Like they are
Right.
just an industry. They may be doing it slightly different. It is not the business model that makes a company successful, it is the founder
Yes.
and vice versa. It's a founder that drives the company into the ground.
Yeah.
And so I need to see how far have they been able to get it and what did it look like along that pathway? And then what's the white space that's still left that I know we could come in and write strategy for and that they can't get there without an influx of cash or capital. Industries that I'm super fascinated in, I have to one completely believe in the product or service.
Yeah.
It's something that I would either have in my home or that I personally would invest in myself because there's so many ways for companies to get capital. They can find an investor that maybe equally is just as passionate about it.
Yeah.
But right now, uh, definitely the regenerative health and wellness space is skyrocketing, as well as cash pay concierge services. So, concierge health models, people are sick and tired of traditional healthcare, myself included.
Yeah.
I have a son that's severely autistic, and I've gone the polar opposite route of what a normal, probably parent would do with the
Mm.
traditional healthcare system. And I've seen what that's done for him. And so I wholeheartedly believe in the cash pay physician model
Yeah.
and the alternative healthcare.
Beautiful. Oh, so motherhood. So we mentioned before you're a twin mom. And what I love too that you shared is you're very clear on your priorities. You're very clear on your boundaries, your non-negotiables. I think that right there is also self-empowerment, something that every founder needs to look at. Is there any areas of opportunity when you're looking at that checklist? Where can you get better? I interviewed Dr. Shafali recently, and she said, the biggest challenges with kids these days is two things. One is screen, and two is disconnection from parents. And when founders are working, 60 to 80 hours a week, they don't have that time to really prioritize family and children. And for me, that's the nucleus. If everything is whole within our home, with my connection with the girls, then everything else seems to work so much better. And so having those priorities straight, what is your version? Like, how did you actually get to this version of balance that you are enjoying right now that maybe you haven't shared with us yet?
Yes, and I will say to back that up is I have 8-year-old twins, so we're
Wow.
8 years into this. My kids don't have screen time.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's another element of clearly that requires more of me as a
Yeah.
parent, right? So when they
Yep.
get home after school, it is playing outside and I'm out there with them, or it is, finding crafts and things like that for them to do or sports. So is it more work in the short term? Yeah, it is. It's
Yep.
just like, so much of the infrastructure we did from 0 to 5 with them and having schedules and all of that. Part of it was for us as parents that were working, but the other part of it was we knew if we committed to the first 5 years and stayed really strong, like now we're 8 years in and it's a breeze with them, like an
Yeah.
absolute breeze. Like having twins is rough, but like with them, it's really easy at this point. Um, I do think personal development, I'm somebody that has invested a lot of money in that. This is not anything I learned growing up.
Yes.
I literally left for college just to get out, and like I was like, I'm gonna find the top paying job out of college, so I just don't have to go back home. So none of this was taught to me.
Yeah.
Had a traumatic childhood, then realized you can play the victim or
Mm.
you can actually face this head on. And so I've done a lot of work over the last 20 years, and it's a continuation of work because obviously as I became a mother and I'm in new seasons of life, that all requires a new level. But I think too, I've been in so many situations and so many rooms and sat at so many tables, and I've really found confidence in that where I am and where I'm positioned is the thing that I do know the most about, and that's business. If you threw me in a room with a bunch of cardiologists and we had to figure, I would know nothing, and I would be the first one to say, I know nothing about this. This is not my zone of genius. But I wouldn't put myself in a room like that. And so I think really putting myself in rooms where I can always expand, but also making sure that I'm developing personally and in business to be able to confidently go in those rooms and have the conversations.
Yes. Was there an investment that you made in terms of personal development that for you was, that foundational thing that was a catalyst for your growth, self-growth?
Yeah, I think extensive trauma therapy. I actually invested in this when I was in corporate before I got married. I think I was 27 at the time, where I made a decision like, I don't want to take this childhood experience into uh, this new experience with this person, my husband, and as a mother. And so I really had to unpack, unwind, reframe all of that belief system
Yeah.
to the point where I ended up walking myself down the aisle as kind of a testament of like, I'm leaving this behind all by myself
Mm.
and I'm entering this new era all by myself, but as a new person.
Yeah.
And I can say too, like my husband is also very vested in all of that as well. And so I would say unpacking childhood trauma, limiting beliefs, refocusing, but then also doing all of the work with like life coaches. And I have access to some of my friends or some of the top industry experts. And so I will pick up the phone and say, I'm like in this slump, or I feel like I need to go to this new level, but like, is now the time? And they'll walk me through all of that process because that's something I'm not trained or certified in. And we're very honest with our clients. Like, if you are going through a divorce or you have some major life event, like we want you to work with somebody that actually is trained and certified in that.
Yeah.
It's not me. I got your business side of it. I'll keep the business
Yeah.
going. You go focus on that.
Beautiful. So I mean, you come in from the strategic side, but you yourself are working on yourself, which is key. And each new level is going to
Always.
require a new version of ourselves. So, so good. Such a powerful conversation. It's an and conversation, strategy and personal growth and growth mindset and doing the inner work and really devoting to it. And then having the strategies in place. And of course, paying ourselves as founders is also key. Profitability, at least 20%. If not, I'm going to have your your quote in my head
At least.
forever.
Yes. I started the conversation. I'm very responsive in the DMs.
Yes.
I've been on some huge podcasts and thrown this out and been inundated with hundreds of DMs, and I've made it through voice noting every single person back. So if you are listening to this and you think, I'm stuck at this level, or I just don't understand my offer suite, or, send me a message. I will voice message you back. I'm more than happy to provide guidance. And sometimes we take those and we turn them into podcast episodes on Millions Were Made. Like our audience and my followers really do feed the topics that we're talking about. So that way it is relevant to what founders are going through.
Amazing. So good. So good. I have three final questions for you. So the first one is your future self. So Jessica, 20 years from today, what is she sharing with you right now?
She's constantly reminding me to keep the boundaries and to soak up every minute with my kids because that's a conversation I have with myself daily. Is like there will be a time where you look back and you'll want to have every single moment. I think she's telling me you really methodically thought about the future in a way that has now paid off,
Yes.
not just financially, but what the things my husband and I want to achieve and do and travel. And I think hopefully she's saying, job well done with our kids, and that their level of success is reflective in their happiness.
Yes, I love that so much. Yesterday we realized, so our girls are 7 and 9. So they're in the stage where, they want play dates, they want to hang out with their friends from their little Waldorf school, and we decided that Wednesdays, Sundays is family time. This is where we do game night, we get creative, we go move our bodies, we just have fun together. And it's something that we're going to do each week, and it's structured, it's scheduled. And then they get to have fun with, their friends, because they're getting to that age where it's friends, friends, friends. But it's like, listen, we need our time to connect together because the nucleus, again, is the most important. So I love that so much. Legacy as a parent. So, what is one truth you hope your twins carry in their hearts because of the way that they saw you and felt you live every single day?
My husband and I feel like this is something we hone in every single day, and that I think kids need to be reminded of is kindness.
Yeah.
I don't care if if they're doctors, lawyers, I don't care if they go to college. I care that they are kind, that they give back, and that anyone knows that they could call them anytime and reach out and that they would be a helping hand. To me, that's what I just care about, how kind they are.
I love that. So beautiful. And what is your definition of prosperity?
Oh, I mean, I think you probably heard me say it several times, but the freedom of choice. Um, that to me holds so much weight and value for our whole family as well. I heard somebody the other day call it FU money, where you like, if you don't want to do it, it's like, I don't have to do it. And I told my husband, it's almost the choice, the choice method. Like I have a choice of what I want to do every day. I have a choice of where I get to spend my time. I have a choice on what's important to us. And I don't care if it makes sense to anybody else, if it makes sense to our family.
So beautiful. So beautiful. So where can everyone find you and the podcast again?
Yes, so on Instagram, I'm the Jessica Marx, Marx, and the podcast is called Millions Were Made. We drop an episode every single Wednesday, and that podcast really is my legacy play where I want to give tangible, tactical business advice every single week that you can actually implement into your company right now.
So good. Thank you for your powerful energy and your heart. You are truly an inspiration, and I'm so grateful that you were here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Prosperity Playground podcast. If this convo sparked something in you, be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts so you never miss your weekly activation. If you enjoyed the conversation, please rate and review. Your feedback helps us reach more souls just like you who are ready to calibrate to their most prosperous life. Know someone who needs this frequency boost? Share the episode to Instagram and tag me @_Anna Lozano so we can grow our energetically aligned community together. And please remember, true prosperity is about alignment, freedom, expansion, and embodying your worth today. See you on the next activation.